Okay.
Got it. Cool. Well, they can
Okay.
always watch it, right?
Yeah, so they can watch it exactly. So I want to introduce everybody to Becky. She's a lifelong learner, an educator, a leader, a student, host of YouTube videos, producer and editor of those videos, social media coordinator, public speaker, loving parent, partner, and grandparent. She's got a full plate. Her life's
All
mission
the
is to be of service to those who need or want help, meeting them where they are and supporting their individual growth spiritually and emotionally. Through her ministry, Agape is Love, she brings unity truth teachings out into the community, which is so exciting, so that everyone will know their worth and feel whole and loved by God. So I'm just going to turn this over to you, Becky. And if you could tell us a little bit about your ministry, a little bit about where you're interning now as well and how that's unfolding, and any other things that are on your heart to speak of, and then we'll have a little Q&A with Matt.
Thank you. Thank you. I sound so wonderful on paper, huh?
You
All I do
are
is put one foot in
wonderful.
front of the other. Sounds like a lot, but anyway, so my name is Beci Rohkohl, and I am the founding and director spiritual leader of Agape as Love. It's a new and upcoming church beyond the walls. When I started this journey, and I've been in with Unity Ministries now for since 1999. So I have a long history of Unity, and I wanted to be a minister a long time ago, and then things got put off. And thank God I came back around to it. God inspired me to come back to it because it's just made a huge difference, and I love what I do. So my ministry started just about 18 months ago I'm a congregation member at Unity Church of El Cajon in San Diego County, which is about an hour from my house. But I found this church several years ago, and about 18 months ago, I said, we're not doing enough in community. It's a very lovely church, and it has a lot of our congregation is very elderly. They're probably plus 20 on me, the average age. But I went to my minister and I said, look, on my path, I really want to, and it was right around the time I took your class, Reverend Sandy, which was amazing. It was wonderful. So I said, we're not doing enough in community because there's people out there that are never going to walk through our doors. That's not what I'm looking for, people to walk through the doors. I'm looking for people to know that they're loved and that they're the Christ light. And that, to me, that's the message from Unity. Charles and Myrtle didn't start a church. They started a movement. They started helping people. They started praying with people. And that's what I wanted to do, take this out into the world. So we started doing things like prayer in the park once a month. I held a couple, so far, two recycle events where the congregation gave me a bunch of lovingly used clothes or small household items, and then I'd have a free market where anybody, I'd set it up, and anybody that wanted it could come and get it and take it for free. I've done healing circles at churches and in parks, and what else? They're just we've been doing all kinds of stuff. But I do my video ministry, which is I put out sermons online, and I take some of my talks that I had given before, and I cut them up and make like the newfangled video shorts and reels for YouTube and Instagram, and not Instagram, yeah, Instagram and Facebook. I do all the social media, work with those platforms, and I hold do what would you call it, book studies and classes online. I also teach at one of our schools. I'm teaching this semester. It's an adult school at Poway here in San Diego. I'm teaching creative writing from the standpoint of telling your story by finding your voice. And it's about people, just meeting people where they are and telling them, look, I'm a minister, but I'm not here to minister to you. I'm here to help you speak your truth and to know that that truth is what's right for you, and it'll lead you where you need to go. I had really good reviews on my last class, which was amazing because it was the first time I had taught at that school. And one of the guys told me, he goes, I've taken creative writing classes before, and you're different. Like, I think Unity people are different. They have this genuine love for people, and they see that Christ light. And I think when we take that out in these places where other people might not think to take it, people kind of get the idea. They go, huh, what is that? So anyway, I'm working with that, and I had to push through. We had to go through. I'm at the Unity Urban School, so I had to push through with the evolving ministry team so that I could be an intern with them, because I have a lot of the skills, the IT stuff. I was in the IT field for 25 years. My husband and I do video editing and creation, and he's even started out of this. He started his own nonprofit called Miracle Youth Productions, and we are helping small business owners by training kids how to do this, how to film, how to edit, how to create. And so we're working together on that project. And well, he's the lead, but I've actually done a lot of the editing and the training and stuff. So just because our churches because our world has changed, and not everybody that's on the path to be a minister wants to be a pulpit minister. I didn't see that as my calling. I saw my calling as going to places where people don't know. They just don't understand. And because I've been in those dark places, I've been in hard and scary places. Like I'm working with I just signed up to work with on the collaboration with the Unity Urban School. We're putting together a track for prison ministry. For 2 years, I worked in a prison. I was a teacher there as well. And I have some amazing relationships from the people that were the women that were behind those walls. And to this date, I know I have 3 of them that they're out and they're just doing so well because they had somebody that showed up and believed in them. You weren't supposed to bring, but I would sneak in Unity books. I would sneak in coaching books. I would be like, oh no, I didn't bring anything. This is just mine, and I would leave without it because I wanted them to know that they weren't alone, that they didn't have to stay where they were, and that they could evolve from that. So I'm working with the evolving ministry team. We hold monthly meetings. I send out the emails, invite everybody to join us. We're starting a cohort next year. It's going to be no, not next year. This already is next year. In February, we're starting a 6-month cohort, which is based on a specific book, but it's helping people create new expressions of church. How, just like Reverend Sandy's amazing class here, not everybody wants to stand behind a pulpit. Some people want to be in the hospitals or in the hospice or in the prison ministry, or some people want to work with the homeless. So how do we support people that have this great idea but don't know how to put it into place? So we're going to be following a book called, I think it's a trailblazing guide. I think I have it here somewhere. Oh, it's a new, hold on just a second, let me grab it. So it's called Becoming Church, and it's a trail. Let me see if I can get it in focus here. And it's written by the people that do this Fresh Expressions. Fresh Expressions this is Luke Edwards is the author. Fresh Expressions started in the UK about 15 years ago. And they decided the same thing too. People weren't coming to the church, so they wanted to meet people where they are. So they have expressions of church in dog parks, in sports bars, in one's called Burritos and Bibles, where everybody goes to a Mexican restaurant once a month. And I love it. I love it. And it's because I think that because we are a movement, we're not bound by these buildings, and you can have meaningful conversations and never have those people walk through the building. If they do, great, fantastic, that's amazing. If they don't, that wasn't my purpose. My purpose was to meet them where they are, to love them as Christ-like, and to let them know that there's more for them out there if they want to choose it. And anyway, so we're going to be studying this book for 6 months, and it's free to anybody, any one of your students, or even you, Reverend Sandy, if you wanted to participate. It would be amazing, because we're hoping that the synergy of it helps everybody. It's like your class here. I love this class what I took. This was probably one of my favorite classes, not just because of Reverend Sandy either, because you got to speak about things that the other classes restrict you. Okay, you do this, you do this, this. You got to take your big dream and throw it out there and say, it might sound crazy, Reverend Sandra. I remember thinking to myself, she's probably going to think I'm crazy. I think we had this conversation, didn't we? Because I was just like, you're going to think I'm crazy, but I want to go to the prisons. I want to go to the parks. I want to go to I want to be out. I want to do prayer walks. That's one of the things that, and my current church kind of shot me down, I guess, maybe because they're elderly. It's something they didn't want to do, but just walk through communities and pray. Have a t-shirt on that says prayer in progress. And if people, you'd never even have to go to the people's door and knock. It's not like a Jehovah Witness or something like that. It's just letting them know that we're there and we love them, and that they're whole, just as they are, and and that we're present and that we're praying for them, and we don't have to. I guess it's kind of the feeling I got when I started in recovery about, well, I just celebrated my 25th year sober. Thank you. And when I walked through the door and somebody told me that they loved me, I was just stunned, because I was like, how can you love me? You don't know what I've done. You don't know where I've been. You don't know the things, part of life that I've compromised. And they said they didn't have to. My first sponsor said, I don't have to know anything about you, but I know that I love you. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do in the world. So very excited. And I talk very fast. So if you have any questions or anything specific you want to talk about, just let me know.
Oh, I have a few questions. I
actually saw that.
Oh yeah, no, I got. Oh, thank you. First of all, I saw you at the Love Train, the virtual. Yeah.
Yes.
So I saw a little bit about there. And are you familiar with Peace Pilgrim, her work?
Yes, I am. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, when you said about walking around, I just got the whole Peace Pilgrim
vibe. Yep, I am.
Vibe and energy. So I guess some of my questions is are you in the structure for your ministry? Like, are you incorporated? Are you through unity? Because, as you know, like, you several different ideas. And my thing is, how do you now focus without getting all these different ideas and how to like structure? So I was kind of curious about your main ministry, if that makes sense, the structure of it, and then if it's
right. It totally does, because that's a big question when you started. Do I incorporate myself, or do I try to go under the Unity umbrella? I chose to go under the Unity umbrella. There's two reasons for that choice. One, because once I got organized, once I got approved, I could actually just start going and hit the ground running. And two, because I could always change my mind later. I don't have to stay under that umbrella. But to incorporate, especially because I live in the state of California, to incorporate as a nonprofit out here is very expensive. And I just didn't have the funding to do that. I'm doing, we're funding this creatively, like, as I say, because through the video systems and helping people and taking small love offerings and stuff like that. That's the way I'm funding it right now, because I'm not getting I don't have any members. There's three different types of churches when you go and when you apply for Unity Evolving Ministry. There's a community-based church, which is you're in the community like me. You might have members, you might have not. You usually have a board of directors or steering committee, which is what I have. And then there's now I'm going to think of it. There's a service-based one, which you provide just a service. Say your money goes straight to support the naval officers on a certain ship or something. That's service-based. Everything you do is trying to feed that support towards them. And then there's another one, and my brain is completely dead, but they're all three on the thing. Hold on.
That's all on Unity Worldwide, right? Don't they have a whole link with all the?
Yes, all that information is out there, and that's what the Evolving Ministry team does.
Okay.
Is works with that. So let me see. Evolve.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. You don't need to look it up, Becky, because we can always look it up later. And actually, I have it in the class. I just can't remember the names of them either.
I know it's like it's community, something else, and then service. And I should have looked it up before I started, but there's three different ways, and they have three different sort of missions. But it's basically allowing us and providing an opportunity for people that, like me, that don't necessarily think that they belong behind the pulpit, but out in the community. Doing something for the community. So it's great.
I really love what you're doing. Would you be able to apply for grants with this ministry? Do you know?
Yes. Yes, I am able to apply for grants because I actually am under Unity's umbrella. So I have the 501c3 already because it's approved through them. But yes, you can.
And because I'm just thinking of how to go about funding it a little bit more for you. I mean, and also, have you ever tried to get like sponsorship with, I don't know how that
No, I
would
haven't.
work, but
Right. So here's the thing is grants, well, you have to be talented at grant writing too. So you have to take a little bit of time for that or find a grant writer. But the funding to another one of the things that I'm coming up on right now is I'm learning that if I could be tethered to a larger Unity church, it would be, they could actually say this church mindfully is supporting that ministry. That would be amazing. So I'm trying to work out how I would do that and who I would actually tether myself to. The church that I am at right now, that I attend, doesn't really have that kind of extra funding or even a want to do that. You know what I mean? So my thought is it would be really great to work with other Unity churches and say, if I had like a big tent revival, I go out on Friday and I set up this huge tent like a circus, right? And on Friday night, we have a family church and the kids have their little church and then we have a church. And then on Saturday, we have all kinds of like different people from the community that come and do Reiki or healing or tarot or whatever they want to express. And they have all these little booths set up for everybody. And then on Sunday morning, we close with another, with a family type ministry, but do that in community where other churches can sponsor it. You know what I mean? So I take my tent and I say, okay, so this weekend we're going to be at your church this quarter, and we'll come and set up, and then whatever profits, or I should say tithes or offering come from that, we take a split from that. So nobody, you know what I mean? But it's kind of more like community based. We have like things that the community might want to come and enjoy. Like we have a farmer's market set up at the same time, or the recycle stuff at the same time. So it kind of brings the community a little bit closer. They might come in, but at the same time, they can still get the whole understanding of this is what Unity is about. This is our movement.
well, I will tell you, I love that. And if you ever bring that big tent over to the East Coast, I am having you at,
I would love it because I would love that enthusiasm from the people out here. So I'm not really getting that.
I wanted to tell you about something as well. The prayer in progress shirt. For a number of years, the religious it's not coalition, but the religious organization, the Hagerstown Area Religious Coalition puts together a Juneteenth walk around downtown Hagerstown, and all the churches come out, and that's what it is. It's a prayerful walk, just to and if we see people, we say, hey, how you doing? And it's not to necessarily get them to come to any one church. It's just to be a presence in a neighborhood, which has, a history of violence in it, so that we can just be that presence of love. And I love that prayer in progress, idea. I really do. The other thing I wanted to know is Becoming Church, the book. Do you think, because you've taken my class, do you think that might be a good book to add to this class?
Gosh, it is one, but it is more of a guidebook, and it's going to take more time. Your classes are 10 weeks, right?
Yeah.
There's another book that might actually be better. It's
okay.
It's a pioneering book. It's kind of along the same lines, and it's written by what I would suggest, Reverend Sandy, is to go and look at the books at Fresh Expressions.
Okay.
And it's a UK based thing, but they have all different kinds, and read about each book, because I know there's going to be one in there that's going to call to you.
Yeah.
I know there is.
Okay. Thank you for that.
More of this is not my first step, but because Reverend Glenda and I have made those first steps, we can guide other people through it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's going to be, we're going to have work, we're going to have discussion. It's almost going to be like a class, but it's going to be for free.
Well, I'm going to try and sign up for that.
People.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it would be great if you were there, because I know you'd have so much to offer the people that were there with your experience in I don't know how long you've been doing this class, but with your experience, it'd be great to have you there.
I want to learn so that I can pass it on to the class.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, welcome, Ildiko. I saw that you made it on, and we're glad to have you. We are recording this so that the first part that you missed, you'll be able to go back and watch, because Becky just gave us a wow, a whirlwind of information.
Lightning speed. I get so
Super,
excited. This is
and
one
I'm
of my things when I get behind the pulpit too. I get so excited that I'm just so excited to share, and I have to go breathe, Becky. Slow down. You can't hear that fast.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So the burrito and Bibles as well, which I thought was a great idea. I've heard of different churches doing like pub theology, go have a beer and talk about, talk about God,
Right,
so,
yes.
but I like the burrito and Bibles idea too. It's kind of,
I like the idea, and I'm trying to find somebody that will host it, because we live kind of rural, so it's like not many people are going to come to our house, because we live outside of in kind of northeast of San Diego in the county. But it's about an hour to the beach from our house, even though we still live in San Diego. But I've been trying to find somebody that would host sort of a potluck dinner once a month, where we can have dinner and discussion. My idea of when I hold my prayer in the parks and stuff, when I go and I set up a circle and I have some meditation music, and I usually start my service with the prayer and a short little 5-minute, this is what we want to talk about, and then to go around and have everybody help me, because I don't like the dialogue of it. I don't like the monologue of it. I like the dialogue. I like being in conversation with people. So what does this stir up for you? How did this come across? Is this something you knew before? Or is this kind of, this is odd, and you're going to have to digest it for a week or so. And then usually I go back around the circle. I tell everybody thank you for that. And then I go back around the circle and ask for people for prayer requests. And then we put those prayer requests in, and then we pray at the end. We usually have a short meditation at the end, and then we close, and then we eat, because they like food.
of course,
Of
of course.
usually coffee and Danish, but it's nice because it's only about 45 minutes long, but it's being in that conversation, because yes, as ministers, we have lessons and we can teach lessons, and we've studied the Bible and we have that, but it doesn't do us any good to spit it out if nobody's digesting it. You know what I mean? So I like being in that conversational kind of ministry.
Well, I think everything is pointing towards that anyway. People want to, especially the generations coming up, they want to be in dialogue. They don't want somebody to tell them what to think or believe.
Right.
So how do you get the word out that when you're having something in the park?
I have all my social media platforms. I have Meetup. Plus I have the Facebook and the Instagram and the TikTok and the plus I have my website, and I actually have been able to, so far, our church has a newsletter, and they'll let me put a little blurb at the end of their newsletter saying this is going on this day if anybody wants to join. I do want other churches to be able to do that too, but I have to come more in relationship with. I did this is one of the mistakes I made. Big mistake for me is I put all my eggs into one church basket. I didn't really build, the whole time I've been here, I didn't really build relationships with all of the churches. There are 5 churches in San Diego County. I just kind of went, oh, this is my home church. You know what I mean?
Oh, are you saying five unity churches? I'm
5
sorry.
unity churches in San
Oh.
Diego.
Yeah.
So I didn't really go to these other unities and build relationship with their, and participate in the things that they're doing. And, so I am starting to do that now. So going and visiting them, introducing myself, saying, is there if you have any support needs, please let me know, I'll do what I can, that kind of thing. So spreading it out instead of going all to one, because the church that I'm at just doesn't have this vision that I have. They don't connect to this vision. So I'm looking for other ways to support that.
So when you have the gatherings in the park, do you see many familiar faces, people who have come over the months?
Usually it's the same people, and sometimes even we do get some homeless in there, and then some of the people in our congregation are very set aback by that, because they don't, and I'm just like, I don't care. If they want to come over and have a Danish and some coffee, cool, listen to us and talk with us and let us pray for you. let us pray for you because prayer works. So that's why I said, yeah, it's usually the same people that come, and I invite them to always bring more, but it's one of the things that Reverend Vernell Nelson told me is that it takes time.
Mhm.
And a year and a half is not a lot of time. So
Right.
I'm more impatient than because I want to go, well, that didn't work. What else should I do? But it's like, no, just keep plugging away at it because it just takes time. She said it took her 5 years before she felt like she had a real following in her ministry for her prayer at the beach. She does meditation at the beach, which I love the idea, but the beach is over an
Right.
hour from my house. So
Okay. And then do you ask for an offering at the gatherings
do.
there?
I do, but I don't get a lot. And I leave an offering bucket also at the pastry table to see if anybody wants to there. And I usually bring all my old Unity booklets and everything else. And I usually have a table my granddaughters sit at that that has all the material and stuff. So if anybody wants to grab anything, they're welcome to. I leave that stuff at doctor's offices, I leave it in schools, I leave it. My old ones, I just put them in the car and go, hey, there's not one here. I leave it with my little scribe on the back says, if you want prayer, contact me. So and I even have on the outside of our church, I created a QR code so people passing by could snap it and it would automatically send me a prayer request and I could pray with them. So I just love that idea. And I've actually had people use it, which is fun because it says, we can pray with you, free prayer. They just think, oh, look, it's a QR code. They want the younger kids, that's what they want. They snap it and see, and it sends me a little thing, says, it pops up an email that says, how can we pray with you? They put in what they want. A couple of ladies, I've actually, they asked for a specific prayer. So I recorded it and sent it back as a voicemail. And they were just like, oh my gosh, you made my day. And I'm like, no, this was totally spirit led. You went by there. It was your start. You started this.
That's a great idea. I love that. Love that, having the QR code. I mean, I know a lot of churches are doing QR codes for offerings. You can donate here.
Yes, you can do that too.
But to have prayer, that's a great idea. Matt.
What kind of software do you do for that QR code? Like,
I use Flow Code because it's free.
Okay,
it's online and it's free. Flow Code, FLOWCODE. It's free, and it's because I did one for my husband. They put on a play at Christmas time, and I used a different source. And after a trial period, they automatically billed me. I'm like, no, you don't understand. You can get these for free, but Flow Code is free, and you can even put your little logo in the center if you want to. Wow! If you've got a logo made up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's cool because then people that go by the church go, oh, they'll pray for me. You know what I mean? And just snap a little thing, and then they say, what do you want me to pray about? Please pray for my grandmother, blah 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 blah. And then I'll pray, and then I'll send back a note that says I prayed, and this is, I see her as whole and healthy, and da 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 da. And so,
well, I've seen like a lot of some like people in church marketing. They always recommend like your website for your church just to put out there where people will pray for you. That's a great way to, of course, silent unity and prayer. I think that's one of the huge.
That's what we do, right?
Blessings. Well, yeah, blessings, and it's reached so many people. I do have a question about so as far as you're getting to jails or prisons, and you kind of your ministry with that. I mean, I have a friend of mine, he's in federal prison, which is of course different than state prisons or even like county jails. And so I was just kind of curious, and if you're able to actually go in there, or with not have be like an official clergy, I guess, per se, like the kind of your experience with like the rules and regulations of the facilities and that kind of stuff.
And that you answered your own question there, because it's going to be the rules and regulations of that facility or that state. So for instance, California is a little bit harder to get into. You have to be invited by an inmate to be part of their spiritual community. So they have a chaplain program inside. They have I would say a chaplain that's on the, on the ward, whatever you call it. And But if you are a different, they just do like Catholic or Jewish denominations. If you are of another denomination, say if they wanted just a unity church in California, the prisoner has to request it. Well, the prisoner doesn't know.
Yeah.
So we're trying to fight that battle. We're trying to look for someone that's inside that would request the presence of a unity minister. And one of the things when I talked about starting the unity stuff, the prison stuff, Unity Urban School is looking to start a curriculum that is based to support ministers that want to minister right in there, not how to get in, that those that want to. It's a pathway to ministry. So how to get in is going to be by the county, by the state, by the facility, and you have to work with them. I do have a friend at a woman's facility here in San Diego, and she told me at the end of last year, whenever I was ready to go ahead and let her know. And I am planning to do that this month, is to let her know that I would like to be in contact and have a coffee with whoever this is, that because she goes in and she does a Toastmasters class once a week. So she does she does Toastmasters inside once a week. And I'm just like, okay, so if you can do Toastmasters, I should be able to start with
meditation.
Yeah, meditation.
Start with meditation. I have an 8-year history of working with prisons here in the area.
See, here's my person right here.
Well, no, not really, because it was very unique. Someone who was incarcerated reached out to all the local churches, and we were the only ones who wrote back. And so we began a correspondence, and he would ask questions. I'd put it to the congregation. I'm like, how would you reply? Send me your replies. And I sent them all back. And he started studying unity principles while he was still incarcerated, and he began a unity group there. However, Maryland is funny because I had gone to visit him as clergy, and because I went to visit him as an individual, as one-on-one, I could not participate in the unity group that he started. Isn't that crazy? So every state is different, but I was able to get the state of Maryland to recognize unity as its own denomination, if you will, because they had a list of approved denominations, and unity, of course, was not on it. So yeah, it's I just know that it's very rewarding and frustrating at the same time. But I was so pleased. He had up to like 30 people in his group, and he would write down questions from each of them, and they'd send them to us, and we'd send out our answers. And that's when I started writing out my lessons as a script, so I could send him the lesson and he would give it to his group. And I'm still, before that, I just used little 3x5 index cards for notes. Now I can't get away from the scripts.
So script, but it never lasts. I've always, it's just like I start it and I go, I need to talk about this, and people, this isn't gonna work.
I go off script a lot too.
Yeah, so each state's going to be different. Each county in that state could be different, and it's different whether or not it's a jail or a federal or a just a holding center, depending on how long people is. But you'll have to find out is from where you're at in your community.
I'm just kind of curious your experience with that.
Yeah, I haven't gone into it yet, but that's what I'm working. That's where I'm headed.
So those three, you said you worked with 3 women who had been in prison, or?
I was in school. I worked for a college, and years ago, and I was actually a teacher at Maximum Security Yard, Perryville in Arizona. It's the only women's prison in Arizona.
Oh, wow.
I was on the Maximum Security Yard for 2 years as an instructor in Microsoft products.
Oh, wow.
But while I was there,
gotcha,
I administered to these women, which are doing amazing. Because I was on the Maximum Security Yard, no more than 50% of the people there were ever going to leave alive.
Yeah.
But these 3, their lives are completely different. And they always are like, it's you. And I go, no, it's God. I just was the messenger. I just delivered the message that I was told to deliver. And I'm in contact with them still. And it's been probably 14 or 15 years. They're just doing great. And I'm just like, this is a God thing. This is a God thing.
Wow. That's Maximum too. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah, well, any other questions for Beci, or any other tidbits that you'd like to offer, Beci?
Well, one of the things when I started, there we go. Somebody said, throw stuff at the wall and see if it works. And that's a really great way to think about it, except for all the energy it takes to throw it at the wall. So maybe a few things at the wall first, and see if it's gonna take off. It may at this time, it may not. But try. I know Reverend Shad Groverland is going around the world wherever he's going, and he's delivering this focus ministry stuff, and I believe in it to a point, but I mean he narrows it down a little bit further, because I can't really say that I want it to be a white male in this category, you know what I mean? So but find some focus, figure out one or two communities you want to start in, and then pray a lot. Because it's going to help. It's going to help because it's going to weed out some of the things that really don't surface, like this prison ministry thing just keeps rising to the top as I'm praying, thinking, oh, maybe I need to be over here. And it's like, oh, they called you to be on this board to find out, like, okay, this is where I'm going. So lots of prayers. And I know that Reverend Sandy talks about that all the time. So you're in good hands.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Always appreciate Reverend Sandy, your comments, and you're always so quick to respond, and it's such makes a big difference, because sometimes it's like, what am I writing here?
Yeah. Matt, because I went through this program, and I felt so isolated at times. I really did. That's why I always try to have at least one Zoom, and I try to respond fairly quickly. That it doesn't always happen, but I do try.
You're very good at that, and sometimes you get all these different ideas. You're like, man, maybe this idea is really crazy. Like, maybe I should have put that, or I don't know. I read these thoughts, and that your mind starts thinking, what are they going to think?
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, because she'll be like, all right, okay.
No, well,
see how this would work, and then she also may say, okay, so how are you going to make that work?
Yeah. So, well, thank you so much, Beci, for coming on. And I really, you may be like an annual guest for these classes.
Well, that'd be great. Maybe by then, annually, maybe I'll have more information too. But think about it, Reverend Sandy, about joining that cohort. I think you could experience a lot and be able to use that with your students, and maybe. Who knows where your ministry will go, right? We never really know.
And I'm going to suggest those who are looking to do something besides a pulpit ministry to attend as well. Yes, so
that'd be great. We still have, we're closing it at 20 people, so we still have some open. So if anybody wants to, they need to let us know, so that way, because 20 is going to be too hard to manage. There's only 2 of us, so we're going to kind of split and conquer and divide and kind of thing. So, go ahead.
I was going to say, do you think you would offer it again after this?
It will be annually, but here's the trick: is as Reverend Gwenda would so kindly put it, Reverend Shad doesn't know that we're doing this for free. We're just doing it on if they have a love offering for it. But the next one, he may go, no, this is actually a program we need to implement, and you know what I mean. And if you're going to be at convention this year, we're also going to be there talking about this and working through it. So if you want to be a part of that too, watch for the classes for Reverend Grenda and the Evolving Ministry team. And we'd love to have, everybody show up and say, hey, this is the future. Let's go for it.
Well, even pulpit ministry has changed so that you can no longer just, you guys know that you can't just count on, Sunday mornings to do what it used to do 20, 30 years ago. You have to have an expansion to that ministry in some way. So that's where I kind of tend to throw things on the wall and see what sticks.
And if
So-
you don't have the manpower to do that, I think that there's nothing wrong with working with people like me outside of it that are willing to do that part, and being a branch from that, being supported by that, even if it's just support with prayer support or people support that want to show up, some kind of support, emotional or spiritual or even tithing. So I think it's a great idea. to
Well,
do it
you
that
are
way.
like a walking billboard for unity, Becky. I mean,
You need
I
to
would-
tell you to do that.
I need you to move to Maryland, girl.
Maryland, I don't know if the kids would buy that. The kids would be like, we're going where? We're in California. Why are you moving us to Maryland? Does it snow there or what? I would love to. And I would love to work with people too. And then I would fly all over the place to do it. But we are grandparents raising grandkids, and we had 5, and we've had them for almost 7 years. And the oldest one is now a Marine, and he's doing great. He is actually in West Virginia right now and at tech school. So he'll be back, but he's stationed here at Camp Pendleton, so he'll be local.
Nice.
But we've got 4 more, 2 of which are teenagers and 2 are tweens. So we're I don't know how far from where we are we're going to be going, but
I hear
so I
you.
still
I
got a
hear
lot
you.
of work to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
But-
we certainly bless you in your
Thank you.
ministry, and we, so appreciate you taking your time out to come with us, come join us rather today, and to really share your thoughts on doing ministry in a different way, different perspective, and a different focus
Online
too.
in person.
Mhm. And not just
Well, thank you so much.
not counting the butts in the seats,
Right.
So
Because it's not about the butts in the seat.
right.
It's
Yeah.
about the light in the Christ light in the person. And I mean, if you can see that,
Mm.
anyway, I will let you get back to your class. So thank you so much, Reverend
Thank
Sandy.
you, Becky.
And I know you probably want to talk to your people before, so I want to log out and give you time to do that. So
Okay. I hadn't really had anything planned, but go ahead.
okay. I was just like, I thought maybe you might want to actually teach a class. This is his class too. But,
Okay. Okay. Thanks again, Becky.
thank you so much. It was so
Thank
wonderful meeting you guys.
Thank you,
I look
Becky.
forward to seeing you again.